At another time, on another evening, the gathering at Tara and Brian Davin's might have been a late summer barbecue. The evening was warm, and the fading summer's air carried the scent of ocean salt. But there was nothing ordinary about this day. In the backyard, Billy Feehan cupped his hand over one ear with his cell phone pressed to the other, as F-16 fighter jets screamed overhead. He and his family had just arrived from Princeton, New Jersey, where they lived. 3 police departments, the Princeton Junction, the New Jersey State Troopers, and the NYPD, had formed a relay team to escort them from the leafy town 50 miles south of New York City to his sister and brother-in-law's house in Bell Harbor, New York. It was mid-span on the Verrazano Narrows Bridge when Billy had his first glimpse of what was left of the World Trade Center. Even from that distance, the enormity of it shocked him. The thick black smoke seemed to reach a mile into the sky. John Feehan, Billy's brother, and Brian Davin, both firefighters, had just returned home from the Trade Center site, still wearing turnout gear. The cement dust that covered them gave their faces a ghostly white appearance, and their eyes were red from the acrid air, exhaustion, and tears. What they had just seen was beyond their understanding. A 6-inch shroud of dust covered the remains of the mighty World Trade Center. Brian likened it to walking on the moon. But what he remembers most is not the deadly dust, the moonscape, or even the twisted steel girders. It is the sound of the firefighters' Scott Air Pack pass alarms, hundreds of them, buried under 1,000,000 tons of cement and steel, that he can still hear in his mind today. On the phone with Billy was Henry McDonald, his father's executive officer, sort of an aide-de-camp. Henry had been the one to call Billy to tell him that his father, Chief William Feehan, had been killed in the attack. Though Henry had retired from the FDNY a few months earlier, there was no one in the fire department who was closer to his dad. Billy wanted to get into the city to see his father's body. Though Manhattan was essentially sealed to traffic, he knew Henry could make it happen. The Feehan brothers arrived at Bellevue that night around 11:30. A police lieutenant named Jimmy Marin from the 100th Precinct in Rockaway arranged to get them through the police checkpoints. Marin practically grew up with the Feehan children. His dad had come on to the fire department with Chief Feehan and had remained one of his closest friends. A cop in Bellevue led them through a room the size of a gymnasium. A couple dozen doctors and other medical professionals sat at desks, waiting for the injured who would never come. Few in the buildings of the World Trade Center survived the attack. The brothers passed the gurney that held the body of a victim. You couldn't even call what they saw remains. Billy was not a firefighter like his brother, father, and grandfather. He hadn't served in the Army. But it's doubtful any experience could have prepared him for the sight of a body on which a 110-story building had fallen. He turned away and almost lost his nerve. Please, God, don't let him look like that, he thought. The initial relief that his father's body was whole was supplanted by the finality of the moment. Chief Feehan's face, one that had felt the heat of 1,000 fires, was white with the dust from the fallen tower. His hands were cut and raw. Someone had told Billy that his father was helping a woman trapped in the rubble from the South Tower collapse when the North came down and killed him. That has never been verified, but what we know for certain from fire department personnel who survived is that William Feehan's last moments on Earth were spent helping the direct recovery effort for firefighters trapped in the Marriott Hotel adjacent to the South Tower. At least outwardly, and much like his father in that regard, Billy showed little emotion as he looked down at his dad's body.